The mill at Dunster Castle sits at the bottom of the hill, visited after a pleasant walk down a path that includes interesting flora and a stop at the Pixie Well. Sitting on a natural spring, the Pixie Well dates to the 13th century. The stonework shows additions from the 1700s and an entrance built in the 1900s. Along the walk are play areas for children and adults.
This is our water source here. So this is a man-made water channel which is called the Lees. The main river, which you can see below you, splits about 1 kilometre upstream. Some of the water flows along this Lees and then the remainder flows along the main river and then into the sea. So at this point we can control how much water goes onto the chute and onto the wheels. So we have a sluice gate here, which is our overflow sluice gate. This is open fully when we're not running the mill. However, when we start the mill, we close the sluice gate and then the water flows underneath our feet and then into this big trough here behind you. So this is known as the penstock. So once this is full, there is another sluice gate on the chute which we open, and that allows the water to flow onto the water wheels. Once the water has flowed onto the wheels, it then flows back into the main river further downstream. When there's enough water in each bucket, there's enough weight to cause the water wheel to start turning. So it takes a fair amount of water to start the wheels off, but once they're going, they'll continue to run quite nicely. So you may notice today that there's not very much water at all flowing. And that's because we're not grinding today. When we put the millstones in gear, we do use a lot more water, probably about 7 to 8 times the amount of water. And we could generate up to 6 horsepower per water wheel. The gearing inside allows each millstone to turn 15 times to each revolution of the water wheel. So that means if the water wheel was turning around 8 revolutions per minute, then the millstone would be turning around 120 times per minute, which would be about the maximum speed in which we would be milling at.
And then what are the water wheels used for?
So the water wheels are used to turn millstones to produce flour. At the moment we mill 3 different types of flour: wheat, rye and spelt. And they're all 100% whole mill and can be used for bread baking.
Wow, and you sell those, huh?
We do, yes. We sell the flour in our mill shop, and it's also on sale in the stable shop near the castle.
How old is this process? Is this building and all that?
The Domesday Survey of 1086 does record 2 mills situated in Dunster. However, we're unsure about the exact locations of them. So the building dates back to 1779. It was built to replace an earlier mill on this site. We know there has been a mill standing on this site since at least 1427, and at the time there were 2 mills built side by side. So in 1620 they joined the 2 mills into one building, and then it was extensively rebuilt in 1779 to its current form.
How often do you have to repair it?
There's quite a lot of maintenance which is required, particularly on the water wheels which are made out of oak. One of the water wheels was replaced in 2015 at a cost of £34,000. The other water wheel was replaced in 2007. However, in recent years it has been showing signs of wear and tear. So we have had several components repaired and replaced on that particular water wheel. So maintenance is always an ongoing task. So if you look very closely, you can see that one of the spokes near the wall has actually snapped. So it means we cannot use this particular water well. As a result, we have to make sure that most of the water flows onto this well.
And I read that you had 2 millstones and there used to be 3. Is that right? Or
We have 3 working pairs at the moment. When the mill was built in 1779, there were 4 working pairs. So we know that 1 pair of millstones was removed at some point, possibly early in the 19th century. So the mill was working commercially until 1923. The miller at the time ran another watermill in Minehead, and he spent more time at the other watermill than this mill. So it fell into disrepair until 1940, when the mill was restored back to full working order and used during the Second World War. And a bakery was in fact opened on the ground floor of the mill. After the Second World War, the mill just produced animal feed from barley and oats until 1962, when it stopped working altogether. The mill was restored between 1979 and 1980, and it has been working ever since. After the restoration, the National Trust leased the mill, so it remained tenanted until 2014, when the National Trust took the mill back into their hands.
right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.